push me, and then just touch me, till I can get my satisfaction.
Push me, and then just hurt me, till I can get my satisfaction. Satisfaction.
Hello, this is our instructional video on how to replace a saw blade on a Ryobi CSB133L. The saw blade that we'll be replacing is a 7 1/4. And before we start, we must talk about the safety that's involved in order to prevent injury and serious bodily harm. The serious injuries that can happen when dealing with any power tools is, of course, electrical shock due to electricity, and that is why we're working on this without the port, without the plug and an outlet. Other safety dangers could be the actual saw blade itself when mishandled, since it's a saw and you can cut yourself. The tools that we'll be using will be a 14mm socket, a ratchet that will be able to change rotations, WD-40 in case of a seized bolt, leather gloves in order to prevent your hands and your hands from being cut up, and a rubber mallet in case you need a little bit more force to knock the bolt loose. Let us begin. We start with our leather gloves. Alright, so to make sure, once again, we need to make sure that it's not energized, in case this saw will spin on its own or you press something and it might be energized. I'm also going to press it just to make sure there's no power, residual power. Nothing. Alright, let us begin. We're going to attach our 14mm socket to the ratchet. On the actual saw itself, there is a locking switch that needs to be depressed in order to release the bolt from the actual saw. So I will be pressing it like so. I'll put my hand and depress it with my thumb. This ensures the most secure placement of your hand in order to deal with this. And you're going to place your socket and make sure it's secured. And while you're pressing down, you're going to be turning it counterclockwise. Once it's loose, you can remove it with your fingers alone. Be sure you do not lose any pieces. There's 3 pieces total: the bolt, the lock, and a stopper. What you'll do is then move your protective plate over. You'll grab the saw blade not from the ends but from the surface and behind it. Lift it up off the center groove, lift it up and slide it out. You'll then move it over and put it in a secure location in order for it not to hurt anyone, including yourself. And make sure it's secured. You have your new saw blade. You must be sure that when you install the saw, it will only go in one way to efficiently cut. You'll then go back. You'll do your steps in reverse. First, by installing the saw in the correct manner. Make sure it sits. Install your stopper, your metal stopper. There's a cut in the groove and there's a cut in the stopper, and that will go directly on it. By that, which it will not spin. You may then release the safety latch, and be sure you have your bolt and your stopper, and put it in the gap. Okay. You then put the bolt and the stopper into the threads and twist it with your hand at first, and twist it until it's finger tight, until your fingers cannot spin it, no longer spin it. Alright, it will not spin anymore. I will then grab my ratchet and turn it so that it's into the tightening. It will be in the tightening rotation. And I will put the socket over the bolt and turn it clockwise. While this is also very vital in case to be sure that you lock the saw. So put your hand back in the placement, press the lock depress switch, and start. You'll hear a click, and you will start to lock it. Once it no longer spin, you may remove the socket and the ratchet, release the lock, and the saw should not be wobbling. It should not be loose. It should be able to rotate in a parallel manner and not wobble. In other cases where the bolt is seized, you may use WD-40 to apply conservatively, add a few drops, and you may put the wrench on.
Well, this has been the video to explain the procedures and instructions on how to replace the blade. As Danny explained, the blade should not wobble. Everything should be fine. This absolutely always has to work. And you are ready to go. Thank you for your time and have a great afternoon.